Showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Final Circle. And I'm excited, and I hope you're excited as well. Welcome back once again. We had a little bit of an interesting cut in the last episode where we talked about what esports really is, at the fundamental level, without going too crazy. Well, in today's episode, what are we going to talk about? Well, let's talk about how to build a pro esports team without fighting your friends. We'll take you one step at a time. I'll break it down into segments. Don't worry. Okay, so let's talk strategy roles and how not to turn your team into a soap opera or whatever. So segment 1, before you pick your squad, know your goal. First things first is, are you building a team to go pro or just to farm local tournaments and flex on Instagram? These are valid questions. These are legit questions. There's a big difference between let's win the PMNC and go global, or versus let's run some scrims in practice and look good cooking in practice. Both are valid, but you got to pick a lane. If not, you just end up stuck somewhere between semi-serious and full-on confusion, like that one cousin who says they're just vibing in life, that kind of thing. You just get lost in the sauce and you can't decide for yourself if you're moving forward or if you're stuck backwards, or that kind of thing. So you got to just think about it long term and what the consequences could potentially be when you're locked in and when you're thinking about it. So you also got to understand. Now, so the second thing is, roles matter, even in friendships. This one is for all my guys who built their squad based on vibes and inshallah. Stop that shit. Don't do that. So every good team needs, an IGL, a leader of sorts, a captain, a team captain, like in your football, your basketball, whatever. Just like any other traditional sports, you need a captain. So yeah, I would call an in-game leader, and I would call a forward man, a fragger, the hard head with cracked aim that needs supervision. That's also very important. And then the third thing we talk about is support. The support player, the underrated MVP, the guy that they keep you alive. You gotta love them. You just can't move without them. And then the scout, the risky runner, the high IQ or high ping guy. No in between. He has high IQ, but his ping is also high. So he finds a way to balance the two, but he's also very, very critical. Keeps you in check and gets the information for your team, provided it's key. He's just like the De Bruyne of your team. De Bruyne is also the captain though. So one player can fill two roles, but it's always ideal to have a De Bruyne. And again, it's very interesting though to use Kevin De Bruyne as an example, but he fits into the narrative, so because he has vision. You gotta have vision. Team chemistry is a real thing. Talent is great, but if your squad's energy is off, you're cooked. You are not making it any further. So you gotta lock in. A pro team communicates clearly, solves problems quickly, and doesn't turn every lost scrim into a family meeting. That is something you gotta understand. If your squad can't survive one day of bad zone luck without blaming each other's ancestors, it might be time to rethink that lineup. So that's also something you have to factor in. Team chemistry, synergy, all of that, it plays into effect. One player can never be bigger than the entire squad. That is something you always got to understand. Something you always got to know. And something else I would say is get organized. You gotta get organized because you want to look like a pro team, then you gotta act like a pro team. That's just the reality of the situation. You gotta have at least a scrim schedule, a VAR review plan, maybe a coach or an analyst if you can find one. A logo. For being honest, branding makes you at least 30% scarier. Also, this is first-hand experience. Also get someone to handle your social media. One player tweeting "we go again" after every loss is not content. Stop that shit. Then the last thing I would talk about is money, friends, and mental health. Well, now this is the deep end. If you start winning prize money, talk about it early. Set expectations, get things in writing, even if it's just a WhatsApp agreement. Get something on the books, something tangible that everybody can attest to. That kind of thing. If things get heated, you step back, protect the friendship before the KD. Always. And esports can be intense, but if you build it right, your squad becomes your second family, just with more arguments about rotations. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I've got for you in this episode. Hopefully you guys will catch me in the next episodes. And yeah, but in the next episode, we're probably going to talk about esports events, why they matter, stuff like that. So stay locked in with me.